It's going to be a mass suicide. Yes, the corporations killing themselves with their own decisions. Here's what you need to know about YouTube's blacklists and the new corporate safe spaces. Garrett Sloan at Ad Age. He's now reporting that marketers are being reminded of the internet's dark side. And now what are they creating? He writes whitelists. Whitelists are at the top of their mind. And what is the opposite of a whitelist? A blacklist, right? So if there's a whitelist, there's also a blacklist. He writes in this article, we'll link to it below, that last year many digital ad players felt like they'd gotten a handle on fraud and celebrated passing TV in the United States ad revenue for the very first time. He continues, on the perils of programmatic advertising roared back in the form of fake news sites and offensive YouTube videos. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about here, this is the YouTube adpocalypse. This is the end of YouTube as we know it. If you're paying attention, then you know. But if you're not, you're going to see thousands and thousands of YouTube channels disappear overnight. And they already are. I'm getting reports from multi-channel networks, people who are inside the whole YouTube apparatus. Revenue drying up. Small channels cannot sustain themselves. They're disappearing. Now, Sloan continues, he writes that advertising roared back, but he said in the form of fake news sites and offensive YouTube videos underwritten by unwitting major marketers. He writes brands like Procter & Gamble and Chase Bank are now scouring the web to reassert control. Procter & Gamble and Chase, to reassert control, assembling lists of pre-approved publishers worthy of their ad budgets. So, Procter & Gamble and Chase Bank are creating these whitelists of pre-approved publishers. They write here, major ad buyers such as Group M and Omnicom Media Group are also working on similar solutions to offer clients. Okay, so these are two corporations that are creating whitelists and blacklists for their advertising clients, okay? This is where it gets interesting. He goes on to write that the ad-supported World Wide Web is abruptly in danger of shrinking from a sprawling, inventive, and untamed territory to a set of safe spaces for advertisers, possibly changing the character of the internet in the process. Wow. The internet is going to go through a fundamental change, my friends. A fundamental change. He picks up a quote here from Mark Goldberg, who is a CEO of Trust Metrics, which is a tech firm that grades online content for quality. He said that there is not a million sites that make sense for all advertisers. Okay? He says the number of marketable domains is much smaller. Now these are the whitelists that are, it's going to create this echo chamber of all these pre-approved publishers. Now he continues, Sloan writes, whitelists of pre-approved publishers give brands the control they're demanding, but he makes a great point. He says they also undermine the prime benefits of digital advertising, the seemingly infinite inventory and ways to target consumers. He writes, quote, he's quoting the Joe Barone, who's Group M's managing partner of digital operations. This man says if you're using programmatic to generate efficient reach and scale with ad targeting, whitelists can hamper the ability to do that broadly. Sloan writes that premium inventory could also fall prey to selling and reselling by powerful brokers like tickets to the only concert in town. He said if fewer sites are eligible for ads, then this becomes much more of an investment play. He continues here. This is where it gets interesting. He says, the big guys are gobbling up all the inventory and arbitrage it all over the place, recreating the ad networks of the past which we're running from. See, they recognize that TV is dying. They recognize that print media is dying. So where are you going to advertise? You're going to advertise online. Okay? So Sloan continues, and he writes, smaller content creators, not necessarily offensive, but not pre-approved either, could also be stuck in an underfunded zone cut off from automated ad flows. Quote, the only risk I care about is making sure the individual creators and smaller sites still have equal opportunity. The words of Jason Kint, the CEO of publisher trade group Digital Content Next. So at least this guy, Jason Kint, he understands that small creators, people like our network on YouTube here, other small content creators, he recognizes the threat that these whitelists will create. And he wants to mitigate that risk. He wants to help people like us continue to have the equal opportunity. He says if a new property launches and does everything right, it could still have trouble getting on that whitelist. Wow. So basically, in a nutshell, what this means is this YouTube boycott, I believe it's going to, in the optimistic side of things, okay? This boycott is going to be the suicide of the corporations, because as they whitelist specific safe space websites like Fox or CNN or NBC or any of the websites associated in the umbrella of major corporations. And believe me, they'll go ahead and say, okay, who are the major corporations in the world? As you know, there's like 6 corporations that run the media in the world. So they find out what domains are owned by them, and add them to a whitelist. These guys are okay. But you and me, we pop up. We feel innovative. We got a new idea, a new website, a new concept, a new blog, a new feeling, a new message. And we say we want to put up a blog. We want to put up a YouTube video. We want to put Google AdSense on it, and we want to innovate, and we want to share these stories and ideas on social media. Maybe we got the next pet rock, right? Maybe we got a great idea. Maybe that idea goes viral, and maybe that person gets a great payday from Google AdSense. But not if they're not in that whitelist. What happens? Nothing. There is no innovation. They're right here. Those corporations are going to be the ones who will be creating their suicide. The reason I say that is because, how do I put it here? It's going to be the suicide of the corporations, because as they whitelist the safe spaces, websites that advertise to the public, the public is already moving away from all those corporate websites, okay? They don't trust the media anymore. So if you're not going to those websites, those ads become an echo chamber of in the corporate approved world. And what happens next? New ad networks will rise up and replace these old networks, the corporate shill whitelist networks. At least that's how the free market would operate. So that little blog that's not going to get whitelisted, maybe they'll jump onto a new ad network. And maybe that ad network will be reaching out to all the other corporations and mom and pop shops that just don't care. And then what happens? Procter & Gamble and Chase Bank, who's going to be seeing them? Who's going to be understanding their products? Just the sold-out brainwashed masses who are going to those CNN and MSNBC, those corporate shill websites. Those same websites, those same news outlets that we combat the narrative here every single day. So that's what's happening. I certainly hope. I just can't believe this. We're actually talking about blacklists and whitelists, but it's all coming down from the major corporations. All because what? A couple YouTube videos? with the N-word? Like a needle in a haystack? This is much bigger. There's a much bigger story going on here, I think, that we don't really know. But we can certainly say that we have been combating the corporate media for so long, and the only way they can kill us is by destroying the platform YouTube that we broadcast on. But we're gonna, you know what? We have plans in the works to keep going, to find sponsors outside of the corporate shills, and to keep going and keep fighting. And we're also going to keep fighting with Patreon. Everyone's got a Patreon now. Everyone's blasting their Patreon. That's one way you can take aim and support us too. Patreon.com/nextnews. So what are your thoughts on this? Comment below. Subscribe for updates. If you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up and share this report on your social networks. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi.
Badass shirt now available. Link in the description.
You possess the power to impact the global narrative. Please share this report, and to get more videos like this, become a Next News subscriber by clicking the link below. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.